Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Professor Divya Snape to the stage!
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I start tonight, I think it would be good to let you know that anything I say tonight is protected by my intellectual property rights. So if you want to use anything for educational purposes, feel free to do so, but remember to cite me. And the reason is, you must think I'm really paranoid, but honestly, I just can't take the risk. You know, despite being the original Professor Snape, J.K. Rowling is suing me for copyright, the breach of copyright, and you know what? Now I have to call myself the academic formerly known as Professor Snape. Well, as an Indian teaching in Dundee with a funny accent, I know I couldn't understand the locals for years either. Can you know what I mean? So I've been asked to be funny, but at work in my class I work really hard to make sure students don't laugh at me. Now today I'm told that I should be really worried if you lot don't. Well, just because I'm Professor Snape and you've got the magical potions in your hands, have you got them? Please don't expect any miracles. I did consider doing slapstick comedy and throwing myself off the stage in my black cape, but Madonna beat me to it. So I'm a professor of education. Obviously, probably it's not very surprising because Indian families take education very seriously. Recently, my doctor tested me for vitamin D. He couldn't find any. I told my mother about it, and she was very upset. She was getting very upset and more or less shouting and saying, how dare he test you for anything less than vitamin A? So my research area is transitions. So I study children, for example, who are moving from one school to the other, or learners who might be affected by bereavement, for example, or indeed international transitions. So recently, a newspaper cited me as having said, I think, I had said that because I've moved from India to Japan and then come to Scotland, all these transitions have made me learn a lot. They have been great educational experiences and they've left me richer. Next thing I knew, there was a massive crowd outside my door. Apparently, in the run-up to the elections, a politician had picked on it to say, all the immigrants come here and take the money off the local poor people. Anyway, I was really upset. I was upset for days actually. I felt I had failed. I had failed as an educationist. I should have known that I should have given some examples to explain what I meant by educational experiences that were rich. And so I decided when you're talking with people who are clueless, it's always best to give examples. So here we go. So this is when I went from India to Japan to do a PhD. Now doing PhD in Japan was really hard work. So I acquired a husband instead. Well, it is a tried and tested educational formula to start from low difficulty level to move to higher difficulty level. So I got the PhD as well, but yeah. And that ensures that an individual has a sense of achievement. Their self-esteem is intact. Jindal, Snape and Miller, 2008. Well, this husband of mine, whilst we were there, wasn't feeling well. So we went to the doctor. I went with him. Well, I had to go with him because in my research I keep banging on about the impact of social networks on somebody's well-being. Jindal Snape 2000, Jindal Snape 2001 and 2, ABC 2003, you get my drift. Anyway, so this doctor invited me in as well. So he looked at my husband and he examined him and he said, Snape son, he was talking in English, Snape son, you've got a very fashionable disease. Fashionable disease? Oh yes. A fashionable disease is so fashionable that I've seen 20 patients in the last 4 days with the same disease. The yen dropped. He meant a common disease. So the doctor carries on and he says, since you're feeling so unwell, I think we should start you with antibiotics. And we should start with the course right now and give you a fast one into your penis. Well, my husband jumped up and he was halfway across the room when the doctor took out the needle. I took a look at the large, well-endowed needle and then at my husband and the yen, thankfully not his pants. The doctor didn't mean into your penis, the doctor had meant intravenous. Well, I think I've been talking about my transitions a lot, and I don't want you to think I'm being discriminatory towards my transition in a positive way and being negatively discriminatory towards my other research area, which is inclusion. I don't know, have you heard that about this? Down south they have a unit called the Unit for Social Exclusion. They're actually very good. They've done a really good job. Have you noticed everybody down south is now under poverty line? Well, up north, I was at a conference one evening. That was a conference on inclusion. And the room we were in, the bulb suddenly blew off and we were plunged into darkness. Now, guess how many professors of inclusion it took to change that fail light bulb? None. We thought it would be too discriminatory. We didn't see it as a failed light bulb. We saw it as somebody having being different. We embraced its diversity. Well, talking about diversity, have you noticed how people get really worried in the UK about racism? Well, personally, I haven't experienced any in Scotland. But my husband, now that's another matter. Did I tell you he was English, by the way? Well, I don't blame the Scots. After all, I only married him to take revenge for the 400 years occupation of British of India. How many cups of tea day and night, foot massage do you think are going to make up for that 400 years? Well, at the last count, according to my 19-year longitudinal study, we were at 145 years, 10 months. Hopefully, by the end of tonight's show, might be another couple of months. But guess what? Once I'm finished with that, as a testimony of my new but very strong Scottish roots, I'm going to start taking revenge for the Scots. So suggestions for torture welcome. Please come and meet me after the show. Oh, just before I leave, guess how many university committees and interview panels I'm asked to sit on?
None.
Actually, a lot. Why do you think that is? My superior intellectual ability? My charming disposition? Or my tactful nature? Well, none of those, despite me having them in spades. It turns out, having me on a committee or a panel is like going to Poundland and still coming home with a bob off. They really get good value for their money. Ethnic minority? Tick. Female? Tick. Disability? Sort of tick. Do you know how I found that out? Recently, a senior colleague of mine came to me and said, Divya, you know how the university committees have to be cut down? Yes. Obviously, we can't mess around with diversity. We have to maintain that. Okay. Could you do us a favor? Well, okay, let's think about it. Oh, could you change your sexuality? That would really save you. Well, who knows? After the pub crawl tonight, anything can happen.